Another new poll out shows that Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are in another dead heat. This is a new Washington Post ABC News poll. Now in this poll, Donald Trump is favored over Clinton at 46 to 44%. Barely edging out Hillary Clinton. And of course that's within the margin of error. But nonetheless, that's not looking good. Especially when you compare it to a recent March poll that indicated that Clinton had a 9-point lead. And among old adults, Clinton leads Trump 48 to 42, and that's actually down from a huge lead of 18 points. That's not good. In fact, I want to go through some of the recent polls to kind of give you where the average is between Clinton and Trump. Now, according to the Real Clear Politics average, it shows Trump at 0.2 over Hillary Clinton. ABC News Washington Post poll, taken through 5/16 to 5/19, has Trump beating Clinton by 2 points. NBC News Wall Street Journal poll has Clinton up by 3. The Rasmussen poll has Trump up by 5. Fox News has Trump up by 3. And the CBS New York Times poll has Clinton up by 6 points. Whew. Not good. Now why? Why is this so bad? Well, according to the Washington Post ABC News poll, both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are not very liked, especially by over half of the electorate says that they dislike both candidates. Record 57% of the 1,000 adults asked had a negative opinion of both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. That is not good. Of that, only 51% of those asked said that they are satisfied with the candidates, and 44% want another option. Wow. Almost half of the electorate say these options that you have given us, Democratic Party, Republican Party, they both suck. We want something else. I'll get to more of that later. So, how many people are actually with her? You know the hashtag, I'm with her, right? Who's actually with her, as opposed to being opposed to Trump? Well, among Clinton backers, 48% of them say that they are supporting the candidate herself. So almost half saying, yeah, I'm with her. Okay, fair enough. While a nearly identical percentage say that their votes are simply anti-Trump. You have half of the electorate saying, she's, Hillary Clinton, she's my person. The other half says, I don't like her, but I hate Trump. That's not good, man. That's terrible. I don't think we've ever seen anything quite like this. And that is not a good sign for the coming election. Now, on the Republican side, 44% say that they back Donald Trump, while 53% say they're anti-Clinton. It's even worse on the Republican side. They really don't like their candidate, but they really don't like Hillary Clinton either. Now, for both of you guys, you realize there's still another candidate out there that both Republicans and Democrats can rally around. That man is named Bernie Sanders. And before you say, yeah, but Republicans would never back Bernie Sanders. Really? Well, when you look at some of the issues that Bernie Sanders and even Donald Trump share, and other Republicans share, you find that there's a lot of similarities. First of all, Republicans and Democrats both hate the outsized influence of money in politics. 81% of Americans say that they want to overturn Citizens United. They don't like the influence of money in politics. A plurality of both are against trade deals like NAFTA and the TPP. 41% of Republicans want a Bernie Sanders-style healthcare system, Medicare for all. Those are things that can rally both parties, people from both parties. There have been Republicans saying, I'd rather vote for Bernie Sanders than Hillary Clinton. I would never vote for Hillary Clinton. I would vote for Bernie Sanders, definitely over Trump. That's crossover appeal, man. Not only that, but they consider him more honest and more trustworthy than both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. That is a candidate that you can rally to. Now, let me go back to Clinton versus Trump. Now, this poll also found that voters see former Secretary of State Clinton as more experienced. Okay, hey, look, you give it that. Experience doesn't always mean great judgment, because in some of her votes, that judgment was not as good. The war in Iraq example. But okay, hey, definitely more experience. I mean, definitely more than Trump, right? And with a better temperament and personality than Trump. Now, for me, I see Hillary Clinton as a bit of an empty suit, right? I don't see her as having that much of a personality because she's too focus grouped and tested. She's got to make sure to read all the polls to make sure she can come out in favor or against something. She's too much of a political, a creature. She waits. Everything's got a political calculus to it. So you can never really know who the real Hillary Clinton is. Now, I've heard from people who support her, people who not support her, who've met her and said, she's funny, she's warm, she's articulate, she's fun to be around. I can give you all of that. But none of that shows in the campaign trail. Because she's got too many political handlers. And that's one reason why people are out of touch with politicians. Because they don't act like human beings. And that's one reason why people flock to Bernie Sanders, and another reason why people flock to Trump. Is because they actually act like human beings. Even though Donald Trump is more of like the detestable kind of human being. But at least he's realistic. As far as like, I act like the jerk at the bar that nobody wants to talk to. Fair enough. But Hillary Clinton, she doesn't really have much of a personality. But that's still better than Trump's toxic personality. Now, that same poll finds that 58% of voters feel that Donald Trump is unqualified to be president, but is favored as the anti-Clinton who can shake up Washington. Or in Trump's case, he would shake up America like somebody shaking a baby. Not good. Terrible. Now, on policy. Those polled said that they preferred Trump's policies on both taxes and international trade. Now, on trade, he hasn't really committed to anything, right? Oh, I'll renegotiate NAFTA. Well, how's that going to go? Is it going to be more pro-corporate? Is it going to be worse? Do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're negotiating? I don't know. Maybe he makes deals. I guess that he says he makes deals. I don't know if I trust him. Now, but nonetheless, his rhetoric on the TPP and on NAFTA, well, look, it resonates with people. Especially with people who've lost their jobs due to bad trade policy. I know plenty of people impacted by NAFTA. I've had friends and family that have worked, for example, my own example, right? Living in Michigan, well, I've had friends and family working at a refrigerator plant called Electrolux, right? They made refrigerators. I've even worked there. Okay, I worked there as a summer worker right out of high school. Well, these very same people, they lost everything when, because of bad trade deals, the company decided it would be more profitable going to Mexico. So I get it. I understand. I can see where Trump's rhetoric is, hey, these trade deals, they're a fucking disaster. They're an absolute disaster. They're destroying American jobs. Mexico's taking all the jobs, which really isn't true. But I can see how that resonates with people who've had their company decide to pack up and leave in order to save a buck. I understand. It's completely understandable. But here's the thing. Sanders does have better policy on trade. And on taxes, the other thing, Trump's plan would have the net effect of saving Trump millions of dollars while lowering corporate taxes. And yes, they would get the middle class would get a nominal tax cut. But it would blow a hole in the deficit the size of the Titanic. And then the country would pretty much sink like it. So, not good. And shame on the media for not calling that out in their numerous Trumpapalooza coverage. Now, back to the back to the poll, right? Now, Clinton was seen as the better candidate to handle international crises and issues like immigration. Well, as far as international stuff, yes, she has experience as Secretary of State, but she's also a war hawk. She's also got a lot in common with the neocons when it comes to how eager she is to go to war. She can't wait to invade another country. As for immigration, she would be a lot better than Trump. Let's be honest on that one. Now, the next stat illustrates why this would be better. Why Trump does better among people who are worried about immigration, right? A poll indicated that Trump has the backing of 57% of white voters compared to Clinton's 33%. Among non-whites, Clinton leads Trump 69 to 21%. So basically, she does better with immigrants than Trump. Is it really any surprise? Because there's a few big groups that Donald Trump he would deport. No wonder he does poorly with Latinos. No matter how many taco bowls he tries to eat. He does not do very well with Latinos. He also doesn't do very well with African Americans. So that's why Hillary Clinton would actually does better on immigration, and why people think she would do better on immigration. But there you go. Now, here's the other thing. How does Bernie Sanders stack up against Donald Trump? Well, in his words, winning. According to Real Clear Politics, Bernie Sanders defeats Donald Trump in an average of polls by 10.8 points, almost 11 points. Here's your Real Clear Politics average. 10.8, it's from 5.6 to 5.19. Now, break it down into individual polls. You've got the NBC News Wall Street Journal poll. Sanders crushes Trump with 15 points. CBS News New York Times poll. Sanders crushes with 13%, or 13 points. Fox News poll, it's a little bit closer, with Sanders still beating Trump at 4 points. And then finally, a public policy polling poll has Sanders at 11 points. Bernie Sanders is victorious in every single general election matchup against Donald Trump. Basically, in his words, he keeps winning and winning and winning and winning. Now, of course, people will say, yeah, but maybe it's because Bernie Sanders hasn't been attacked by Republicans yet. Well, that's not exactly true. He has been attacked by Republicans, not nearly as much as Clinton, I grant you that. I mean, no politician out there has been attacked as much as Hillary Clinton. But remember, Bernie Sanders has been in politics for decades. He's run for political office many times, and guess what? He's also been attacked plenty of times. And in this race, he's been attacked a lot by fellow Democrats. So, what do they have to attack him on exactly? He's a socialist. And? Look, that's not even entirely correct. He's a democratic socialist. And to figure out what it means, you only have to look at Denmark, Norway, Finland, etc. Not Greece, not Venezuela. Bernie Sanders has not sought to nationalize everything. He's not even a proper socialist. He's not calling to nationalize the banks, which Finland did, or Iceland did. Iceland nationalized the banks and then made sure that their economy didn't crash, and then they gave the banks back after they jailed the bankers that caused their crash. That's not even really actually socialist. So yeah, he's not really a socialist. No, Bernie Sanders wants to break up the banks so they can compete with each other. And reinstate Glass-Steagall so they can actually get back to lending to small businesses as well as bigger businesses. They're not doing that now because it's much more profitable to speculate on derivatives. Far, far more profitable to do so. Reinstating Glass-Steagall will cut down on that because then they'll have to use their own money to gamble with. You know how much they don't want to do that? They would rather use your money, depositor money. That's why we need a 21st century Glass-Steagall. But anyway, look, here's the other thing about that whole socialist line, right? Barack Obama has been called a socialist communist for nearly 8 years. it sort of wore out its edge, especially among millennials who would actually vote for an actual socialist. Someone like, for example, Kashama Sawant in Seattle. She's an actual socialist. That's one. But there you have it, man. Look, when it comes to polling, Bernie Sanders crushes Trump consistently, whereas Clinton, her lead continues to dwindle in every new general election matchup poll. In fact, just to show you how far it slid, back in April 15th, Hillary Clinton was up by around 10 points. And on June 24th of last year, Trump trailed Clinton by about 20 points. She just does not keep polling leads. The more people know about her, the less they like her. Whereas Bernie Sanders, dude's got the opposite problem. But please, DNC, continue to push for the less electable candidate so our country can have our shaken baby syndrome for the next 4 years after Donald Trump wins. Please. Look, poll after poll shows that Mrs. Clinton is none other than the George McGovern of 2016. And what that means, ultimately, in the end, is that a vote for Hillary is nothing more than a vote for Donald Trump.